California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse.
Gavin Newsom appeared visibly rattled, live, unscripted, and under intense scrutiny, after Greg Gutfeld went after him with wildfire-level intensity on national television. Delivering line after line with sharp timing and relentless focus, he dissected the governor's record, his polished image, and even his famously styled hair in a takedown that left viewers frozen. This wasn't light political banter. It felt like a high-stakes clash that cracked the surface of Newsom's carefully maintained persona. The reaction wasn't just tense. It felt seismic, as though the foundation of his public image suddenly shifted. While emotions surfaced in real time, audiences stayed locked in because this wasn't routine political debate. It felt like a rare moment of vulnerability on a major stage, the kind of confrontation people replay, analyze, and debate long after the cameras stop rolling.
Let's take a closer look at this with a spot shadow or no spot shadow. What exactly is he trying to say here, huh? Is it a mysterious form of sign language for morons? Is he conveying some secret code to terrorists? Is he signaling the Los Angeles Angels to steal third base?
Before we go further, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss how this unfolds. Greg Gutfeld entered with his signature grin, the kind that signals something significant is about to happen. The atmosphere shifted instantly. It was clear someone would be put under the spotlight. His focus, Gavin Newsom, the outspoken progressive governor known as much for presentation as policy. Gutfeld didn't need volume to make impact. He stayed composed, sharp, and deliberate, using carefully timed sarcasm to chip away at the polished exterior and highlight what he sees as deeper issues beneath the surface.
Welcome to a new segment called Gavin's Hands. He keeps his hands in motion and his hair full of lotion. True, Gavin's views may be idiotic, but his hands moves, well, they're hypnotic. California Governor Newsom's new podcast is out. It's available wherever fine hair care products are sold.
Gutfeld began lightly, almost playfully, poking fun at Newsom's sleek image before building toward stronger critiques. He joked that Newsom doesn't just enter a room. He arrives like he's starring in a cinematic cologne commercial, moving in slow motion while the spotlight follows. Even on cloudy days, Gutfeld quipped that Newsom's smile might outshine California's sometimes strained power grid. If politicians were luxury brands, he said, Newsom would be high-end skincare. Impressive packaging, premium pricing, and lingering questions about long-term results. It was clever and satirical, warming up the audience before the conversation shifted to more serious territory.
So the riots aren't a protest against authoritarianism, they're a protest against order. Once you conflate order with authoritarianism, you get chaos and destruction. So if restoring order is evil, then the Dems are now the party of disorder. Turns out the only system they had was wokeism, and it rotted any basic principles the party had to begin with. Which is why, like Gavin himself, they're left looking at 2028's hopes going up in flames.
But Gutfeld wasn't there just to joke about image and presentation. He pivoted toward California itself, the vision Newsom has consistently promoted. Instead of a flawless model state, Gutfeld painted a satirical picture of a gated paradise with uneven infrastructure, high prices, and visible challenges. He described progress not as stability but as confusion, using exaggerated humor to question whether the promises match everyday realities. The imagery was sharp and exaggerated for effect, but beneath the laughter was a pointed critique about whether expectations and outcomes truly align.
So Newsom is fed up with tent cities, the crime, the urban decay? No, he's not mad about that stuff. He's mad you noticed. It's like a criminal telling a jury he's sorry he robbed 25 banks when he's just sorry he got caught on the 26th. Because this isn't some spontaneous crisis. It's a man-made disaster like Chernobyl or Fox and Friends.
When the topic turned to homelessness, Gutfeld intensified his focus. He criticized Newsom's approach as heavy on messaging but light on measurable improvement. He argued that bold speeches and large budgets have not translated into visible solutions in certain areas. With biting humor, he described parts of major cities as places where residents and visitors alike search for basic cleanliness and safety. He joked that tourists now document urban challenges as much as scenic views. The audience laughed, but the underlying point was serious. Visible issues require visible progress, and critics argue that hasn't happened quickly enough.
Why? What difference does that make? Why shouldn't a restaurant/bakery be subject to the same laws as everybody else? Is the bakers union that powerful? If you cross them, will you wind up with the Pillsbury Doughboy's head in your bed? No one will say. But according to a new Bloomberg News report, Newsom pushed for the bread exemption to help a longtime campaign donor, billionaire Greg Flynn, who happens to own a bunch of Panera Bread.
Then came the economy. Gutfeld compared Newsom's optimism about business shifts to someone admiring smoke without acknowledging the fire. California remains economically powerful, but critics argue that regulatory complexity and high taxation have created strain. With layered sarcasm, he questioned whether policy decisions prioritize symbolism over practical outcomes. He then revisited the pandemic response, referencing strict lockdown measures and the widely reported French laundry dinner controversy. To critics, it symbolized inconsistency, rules for residents, exceptions for leadership. Gutfeld highlighted what he called a glaring double standard, emphasizing how moments like that shape public perception long after headlines fade.
It's like the wildfires. Gavin blames climate change when it was his corrupt bureaucracy. Since the Palisades fire, which destroyed 6,000 buildings, only 4 permits have been issued for rebuilding. Did climate change cause that? Hell no. So like the fires, Newsom let homelessness run wild. He allowed tens of billions of dollars to be swallowed up by a maze of consultants, nonprofits, and bureaucrats who created poop mats.
Gutfeld described the pandemic rules as inconsistent and difficult to follow, comparing them to shifting instructions that left people confused. One week certain activities were permitted, the next week restricted. Critics argued that questioning policies sometimes resulted in being labeled unfairly. He then referenced the recall effort, suggesting that instead of recalibrating, Newsom returned with renewed confidence but unchanged strategy. On crime, Gutfeld mocked what he portrayed as overly lenient policies, suggesting that messaging alone cannot deter wrongdoing. Through satire, he questioned whether enforcement matched rhetoric.
So our dumbest politicians are getting dumber. It's like a semi-truck full of dumb pills overturned, and Gavin Newsom leaped out of his limo and ate all of them up. And now he's ODing on dumb.
I watched this one guy, was it Jesse Waters or something on Fox News, what he's been saying about Paul Pelosi the last 5-6 months, mocking him consistently. Don't tell me that's not aiding and abetting all this, of course.
He pointed to businesses closing, families relocating, and residents leaving the state while leadership continues to promote California as a global model. Gutfeld questioned whether rising costs and regulatory expansion are sustainable long-term. He criticized aspects of the education system, arguing that parents struggle to navigate evolving curriculum debates. With exaggerated humor, he described administrators as buried under layers of consultants and shifting priorities. On housing and energy, he mocked repeated promises of affordability, comparing them to perpetual resolutions that never materialize. Rents remain high, zoning laws complex, and relocation expensive. His message: bold announcements must eventually translate into tangible results.
Last year, after the Texas Governor Abbott ordered that parents of transitioning children should face criminal investigation, Newsom then tweeted this: trans kids and their families should be celebrated, not targeted by the state. They are heroes. And so to fearful families in Texas right now, California's door is always open to you. Yeah, and so is the side door on some pedophile's minivan.
Despite controversies, Newsom often appears composed, brushing off criticism with confidence. Gutfeld compared him to a polished screensaver, visually smooth but functionally idle. He argued that press conferences feel curated rather than substantive. The idea of a presidential run became another comedic target, with Gutfeld suggesting that national ambition requires stronger state-level outcomes. He returned to the theme of image versus execution, questioning whether aesthetics are overshadowing accountability. According to him, presentation alone cannot substitute for measurable progress.
Look online. Look at the sewage that is online.
Sure, Gavin, sure. He lived in a bus, but he definitely had cable. Gav talks like this maniac set his imaginary DVR on his imaginary TV on Fox News every night while wearing Brian Kilmeade pajamas, drinking his own urine out of a Fox Nation mug, and in his beautiful, dilapidated bus of a home.
Gutfeld portrayed Newsom as overly focused on optics, suggesting that attention to branding sometimes overshadows attention to results. His delivery remained calm, which made each line land harder. Beneath the humor was a clear argument. California faces real challenges that demand pragmatic solutions. Just as the critique seemed complete, he pivoted to Newsom's commentary on other states. Gutfeld mocked what he saw as irony, a leader confronting internal struggles while offering external advice. He compared it to someone losing a race while coaching others on technique, using exaggeration to underscore his point.
He hopes the conservative Supreme Court will overturn the current law that bans his state from removing out-of-control homeless encampments. Imagine that. Well, what did you expect, Gavin? That the sanctuary seekers were going to show up in Winnebagos? Once again, another example of a high-profile lib using his big mouth to write a check his ass can't cash.
Gutfeld referenced legal debates over homeless encampment removal, suggesting that earlier policies contributed to present complications. He criticized what he viewed as outspoken rhetoric that outpaced practical implementation. He also mocked Newsom's frequent comparisons to Florida's governor, framing it as a rivalry that may not be mutually acknowledged. Through humor, he contrasted economic growth narratives between states. He dismissed symbolic gestures, arguing that online applause doesn't equate to effective governance. He characterized Newsom's national media appearances as rehearsals for future ambition, suggesting that image building may be happening alongside unresolved state issues.
Now, it's often said that life is like a crap sandwich. The more bread you have, the less crap you gotta eat. But in Gavin Newsom's California, they mean it literally. California recently passed a law mandating a higher minimum wage for fast food restaurants, raising it from 16 to 20 bucks an hour. But it offers an odd exemption for chains that bake bread and sell it as a standalone item.
Even California's natural beauty became part of the satire. Gutfeld joked that the mountains and beaches deserve better management than the politics surrounding them. Tourists arrive for sunshine and scenery, but headlines often follow them home. He compared the state's trajectory to an overhyped sequel, visually stunning but criticized for execution. As he leaned back with a knowing smile, it was clear the critique wasn't personal. It was political theater amplified for effect. When policy debates generate their own punchlines, all it takes is timing, wit, and a national audience for the moment to become unforgettable. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next.